Hello, trumpet players. Now let's try for a third time. Something's wrong with my phone. It keeps cutting off. Okay, let's try this again. Early 2 gig. I feel like I'm just repeating myself now, but you didn't know I was saying this before. I have a jazz gig tonight, so that's very cool. Um, this is gonna wobble a little bit because I think the way I was holding it was actually cutting the video off. Sorry about that. Yeah, I have a jazz gig. Most of my jazz gigs are not public. Most of my gigs are not public. And the reason for that is that public gigs don't pay enough. No, not typically, right? So, I mentioned in one of these videos that I have a minimum, and most of the gigs don't pay that. The public gigs don't pay that much. There was a band recently that said they want to hire me. I said, this is my minimum. And they said, what about clubs? I'm like, what about clubs? Right? What about clubs? That's my minimum. Now, I told them I could work with them a little bit, but, the thing is I don't like doing clubs anyway. This gig tonight, so I don't consider it a club. Now, this person that I was talking to, and I know I'm on a tangent, this other person I was talking to, he explained that it was a very nice place. And, when I say club, I'm talking about those places where there's like stuff going on. And I don't mean drugs. I mean, I won't do that stuff at all. Not anymore. I used to play at places like that, and it's not worth it. Really, it's not worth it. But I'm talking about places where people go to meet up and stuff like that. I don't want to be part of that world. Anyway, so this tonight is a wine tasting place. It's not really a bar, it's a restaurant. And the specialty is trying out different wines. So I don't mind doing something like that. I don't drink wine, but I don't mind being at a place. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do pot, I don't do any of that stuff. It's not because I feel like I'm holier than thou. It's just, that's what I think. How am I saying that? And I know this is a second tangent over the top of the first tangent. But a lot of people think I'm stuck up because I won't do that stuff, and that's not what it is. I think that's a better way to live. Why would I live a worse way? I'm not saying everyone who does those things is evil. It's just I don't want to be around talking about the drugs, stuff at club. If you're doing drugs at a club, anyway, I don't want to go into that. Anyway, so yeah, this is going to be a good gig tonight, playing jazz. Now, we play jazz on private gigs. A lot of people won't call that a jazz gig, though. People call, to me, if I'm playing jazz tunes and improvising over those tunes, it's a jazz gig. But there's a lot of people that don't call that a jazz gig because, like, you're at a wedding or something, right? So, and if most of the other tunes are not jazz, but I've had plenty of jazz weddings. Played plenty of wedding reception where we played jazz all night. Anyway, let's get to the point. This is kind of a tricky subject because it could play like a vortex and suck me into it, and I become a hypocrite right off from the offset. And I don't want that, right? That old saying, 2 wrongs don't make a right. And there's that other corny one about if you point fingers at one person, that means you've got 3 pointing back at you. But those things are founded in traditional wisdom, right? It's not that those things aren't true. They are true, right? They represent wisdom that's been handed down from generation to generation. So, and see, here's the thing is, for me to talk about this, I have to do it in a way, and I hope I can pull this off. For me to talk about this, I have to not get sucked into it myself. And here's the thing. So this is about social media. There are certain unsavory, I think the term is unsavory characters in social media, trumpet players, unsavory trumpet players on social media. And I'm not talking about them. That, to me, they are the least of my concern. I'm talking about the people that keep talking about them. I'm thinking about calling this video hating a hater doesn't make you a lover. And I believe that. If you hate someone who hates other people, that's that whole old two wrongs don't make a right. You can't hate your way into love, right? And you can't hate that other person to a point where he starts not hating anymore, right? But that's what's happening. So someone will say horrible stuff, and then that person becomes sort of like a virtual outcast. And just, they talk about, and there's not just one of them, and that's one of the reasons why I brought this up. It's not just one, it's the same juvenile stuff I used to see in the 80s, okay? It's the same stuff, except now it's digital, and everyone has more reach. So actually the damage that's done is actually far, far worse than anything that used to happen, naturally in regular society. So what am I saying? So yes, so you'll know what I'm talking about if you hear the phrase, the one who will not be named. Okay? What is that? Okay, so now see, this is the part where I don't want to start now talking badly about the people who talk badly, right? That's just a vortex I don't want to get sucked into. Okay? It just all reminds me of, and this is not why I'm saying it. All the stuff I share with you is so that you can be a better trumpet player. Okay? And on the onset, this may not seem like it's something that will help. But it is. Because all of this stuff is interrelated. It's interconnected. Okay? It's because we're talking about trumpet players here. And so here's the way it works right now is whoever goes around professing to hate the unsavory character is now in with this group of people, the good guys. You're a good guy because you hate the bad guy. You hate the boogeyman. Well, I'm sorry, hating somebody still makes you a bad guy. That's how I see it. If you hate anybody, that's the definition of a bad guy. I find it so ironic. What they call on social media today, what they call hate speech, right? I find it so ironic because what they are generating is more and more hatred with these so-called hate speech policies and hate speech laws. They're actually generating more hate. They're not squashing the hate, they're actually intensifying the hate. And I say that based on what I've been saying. You cannot hating a hater does not make you a lover. Does that make sense? You can't, it doesn't work that way. Alright? So the proper response when somebody, now this is where I have to be very clear. I'm not putting anybody down. I'm not putting the person down who everybody doesn't like. I'm not putting the people down who are stooping to his level. Okay? What I'm trying to do is help you overcome this, because what it is a vortex. You know what a vortex is? Like you flush the toilet, that's a vortex. Okay? And it can suck you down. There's like this momentum, and it gets going, and it will take you down. And I think, the more, so how does this affect your trumpet playing? The more you get caught up in this vortex, the more mental issues you will have in your own playing. I promise you that. I promise you that. Because that's how life works. If you get sucked into a vortex where you're hating on all these people in the name of love, of course. In the name of love, you're hating on all these people that do this, those people there that do that wrong, and those people there who said that. And by the way, so I don't talk about politics in this channel, right? But I will tell you this, because to me it's no difference. What I'm talking about now is absolutely no different from what's going on politically in our country. You know, when someone posts something saying so-and-so said, that's not news. That's gossip. And if you didn't know that gossip was bad, you need to look at this is not just a Christian thing. If I'm not mistaken, gossip has been bad all over the world since forever, right? That's not news. And you know what I've been doing lately on my news page on Google News? I don't have a Google News app, but I use the Chrome browser. And when I see a news agency that posts gossip, and basically what I call gossip, so-and-so posted on Twitter yesterday, I block that source of news. I don't want to see any news from a news agency that has stooped to the level of gossip. That's no better than a tabloid. There's no difference between that and a tabloid. Okay? So I just block them. I don't get this. And that, by the way, most of the major news outlets are posting this trash, just plain gossip about people that they should. Who cares what somebody said about something? Nobody cares. Nobody should care, at least. And the fact that they're doing this, I guess people do care, but they shouldn't care. And taking this back to what I'm talking about, I don't care what so-and-so said. Why am I even interested in that? That's not news. That's not relevant. It has nothing to do with nothing. Okay? And by passing that along, by even responding to it, I am now caught up in that vortex. So I'd rather not have anything to do with that. I don't want to have anything to do with getting caught up in that cycle of that gossip cycle. It really is just gossip. And anytime I see stuff like that, I promise you, I won't read the comments. I just scroll right down. That's the other thing is people, I sound like I'm ranting. It's not a rant. There's a lot of people online that will say, please stop posting this stuff. Well, you know what? If I did that every time someone posted stuff that I didn't like, like every other, no, not every, I'd say 98% of my posts would be me saying, don't post that, don't post that, hey, don't post that. I'm not telling you what to post and what not to post. See, that's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to get into the vortex. I want to stay out of the vortex, but I'm going to try to help throw you a lifeline too. That's what this video is about. If you participate in the free-for-all dogpile attitude, dogpiling on people, on the unsavory characters. If you participate in that, you are sucked up into the vortex of hatred. You may think it's justifiable. You might think that it's not hatred because you're hating the hater. But that's not how it works. And I promise you, so how is this going to affect your playing? Well, first of all, this is the kind of stuff that leads to body tension. And if you can't see that, maybe we'll have a special body tension. Well, I already did a body tension video, didn't I? Go watch the body tension video. And you'll see more of what I'm talking about. You get caught up in the hatred vortex, and you'll have these issues that I'm talking about. Okay? And that's just one thing. There's the body tension. There's the phrasing. It will affect your phrasing. And you know, I remember one time I made fun of some guy because he said if you eat too much sugar, it makes you rush. And I guess this kind of sounds like that. Kind of sounds like that, right? If you eat too much sugar, it makes you rush. But these are what's the difference? You know, when you hate people, when you hate on people, when you think the way you should behave is that you repay tit for tat, and if someone does something wrong, you have to do something more wrong to them. If that's the way you live, tell me that's not going to affect your playing. Your playing is supposed to be an expression of who you are. And maybe, you know what? Maybe that's okay for you. Maybe that's all right for you. Maybe you are one of those dark, mean, hurt individuals, and this is your expression. Well, maybe I'm not talking to you then. If you're okay with staying that way, if you're okay with expressing in your music hatred, if that's what you want, if that's what you're striving for, then maybe this video is not for you. I do know, I believe that hatred is contagious. I believe that hatred is contagious. There's a Bible verse that talks about the unclean versus the clean, right? And the prophet asked, if what I have that is unclean touches something that is clean, does it make no, wait, I got it backwards. If I have something that's clean and it touches something unclean, does this clean pass on over to the unclean? And the answer is no, of course. Well, you know, back then they didn't know what germs were. Today we know what germs are, right? If you take something with no germs and something with germs and you touch them together, the one that had no germs is now going to have germs. It doesn't work the other way around. And evil is exactly the same way. Hatred is exactly the same way. You can take someone who doesn't hate and someone who does hate, and they can associate with each other, and the hatred will pass over unless something is put in place to prevent that. Okay? And because of that, you know, our world system works based on money. So the way things are sold today is through this contagion of hatred. Hatred is contagious. These business people know that. And they can ride your hatred long enough to get the money out of you or the power out of you or your time. Remember, it's not all just money. They can get from you what they want because they know that this is the way hatred works. And the way you break that, now, in my religion, in Christianity, what we believe is that you can't break that contagion. Now, this is my words. I'm putting it in context for what we're talking about. You cannot break that contagion of hatred without Christ. Christ died on the cross to break that bond. Okay, so it's more than that, but I'm talking about this context. But if you want to talk about it more generally without talking about Christianity, something has to happen for it not to be contagious. Something has to happen for the hatred to not transfer from one person to the next. Okay? So, what am I trying to say? Let me summarize it. There are these unsavory characters. You're not doing anybody any good. If you're one of those people who will speak badly, and how badly are we talking about? I'm talking about some very disgusting things that I've seen. And I'm not saying this from a perspective of criticizing those people. But you should see some of the stuff. Not death threats, but death wishes. Torture wishes. You should hear the kind of, not hear, but read the kind of stuff that they wish for this person. The agony they hope he goes through. They hope he goes to hell. They hope that he, and it's not just one guy, by the way. I know that you guys are going to be thinking that's one person, but it's not the one person. It happens outside of Trumpet too. It happens in politics. That's why I was mentioning it earlier. Okay? If you get caught up in this hatred, you're part of it. You think that it's you against them, but both of you are going down the toilet in that vortex. You can't see it because you think, well, at least I'm not that guy. Well, at least, yes, you are. You're no better than that guy if you're doing that. In fact, probably, that guy's actually probably better off than you are. I know that's a little controversial, but if you put a name to it, because I think the people, well, I won't say that. I hope I'm making sense. This stuff does manifest itself in your playing. Especially if it's a trumpet player or someone in music that you're doing it to, because that's how life works. That's how life works. If you haven't been around long enough to see this, some people will call it karma. But this is how life works. If you speak badly about somebody, it will come back to bite you. And I believe that whatever context it was that you were doing it, that's the context that it bites you in. Right? So if you are criticizing someone for their trumpet playing, that's going to come back around, and you will be. In the Bible it says, judge not so that you are not judged. Okay? If you forgive people, you'll be forgiven. Don't judge them so that you're not going to be judged. And I do believe that it's one-to-one. I believe that it is proportional. That, I don't mean, okay, one-to-one is a measurement. I mean, whatever, so like if you, So that's not what I mean. Whatever field or whatever area of life or whatever it is that you harm somebody else, that's the area in your life that you're going to be harmed. So, for example, in the context of reputation, because that's really what gossip is, Jesus said, if you gossip like that, you are murdering that person. It's the same thing as murder. You talk that way about somebody, it's the same thing, because basically you're murdering that person's reputation. And I'm getting more religious in this one. In the Bible, it says justice is God's. Vengeance, not justice. Vengeance is God's. God is the one who takes your revenge for you. You don't have to exercise your own revenge. When you let God exercise vengeance for you, it takes you out of the vortex. And then, not only will your trumpet life thrive, but so will everything else in your life too. So that's what I've been thinking about. That's what's been on my heart. I have a soft heart for people who don't know that what they're doing is harming them. And that's what this video is about. I understand that there's a lot of people. Now, some of you will listen to this and say I'm crazy, that I'm nuts, that I'm actually even hateful for saying what I say. But I actually have a soft place in my heart for people who don't really understand what damage they're doing to their own life by doing some of the things that they do. I hope that makes sense. Well, I better get in there. I see the leader carrying music stands, so it's time to get in there. All right, God bless you guys. I hope, you know what I'm going to do? I have so many of these Wednesday videos, the behind the wheel videos, uploaded to YouTube. I think I'm going to start doing 2 a week so I'll do this one this week on Wednesday, but then I think I'll maybe also put a Thursday one out or something like that. Because it's really, I've got too many of them now. And I probably won't do all of them. But yeah, I'm going to put them up and see where we go from there. Okay? Anyway, God bless you. See you guys on the next one.